In the journey of life, we often search for something certain, something solid we can hold on to, something we hope will never change. But life gently reminds us, again and again, everything changes. Emotions shift. People evolve. The world around us is in constant motion. That's why the Buddha proclaimed a fundamental truth: nothing is fixed. This is not just a philosophical statement, it is an invitation to wake up. To pause. To observe. And to release our illusions of permanence. In this impermanence, if we can learn to let go, we can also learn to live more deeply, more freely, and more gently, with ourselves and with the world. The Dharma journey invites you to explore this insight, not just with your mind, but with a mindful, open heart. Because only when we truly understand that nothing is fixed, can we begin to touch a peace that transcends time. Nothing is permanent, the truth of impermanence and the path to letting go. Have you ever felt like everything around you was changing too fast? Have you ever clung to something, only to watch it slip away? Maybe it was someone you deeply loved who promised to stay, but eventually walked away. Maybe it was a job you thought you'd have forever. But then life took an unexpected turn. Or maybe it was just a peaceful afternoon that felt timeless, until the sun quietly set and night took over. When we don't understand impermanence, these moments can leave us feeling lost, hurt, or even broken. Deep down, we often carry the hope that something will last forever, a relationship, a feeling, a version of ourselves. We hold on, hoping to find stability in a world that's always shifting. But sooner or later, life moves, and we're left grasping at shadows. The Buddha said, "Nothing is permanent." This isn't just a poetic statement or a philosophical observation, it's a key to liberation. It's a truth that, when deeply understood, can free us from suffering. Because the more we resist change, the more we suffer. But when we accept it, even embrace it, something in us begins to soften and open. Impermanence is not to be feared, it's meant to wake you up. Some people hear about impermanence and feel afraid. If everything changes, then what can I rely on? What's the point of loving, hoping, or building anything? But look closer. The beauty of impermanence is that it allows for healing, growth, and new beginnings. The pain you thought would never leave eventually softened. The hard times that seemed endless faded into memory. Even the mistakes and regrets, if life were fixed and unchanging, you'd be stuck in them forever. But because of impermanence, you get to start over. You get to become someone new. Change isn't the enemy. Change is possibility. It's the door through which healing walks in. Why clinging causes suffering? Imagine trying to hold on to a handful of sand. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips through your fingers. In the same way, when we cling to people, moments, or identities, hoping they'll stay exactly as they are, we set ourselves up for pain. Some people suffer their whole lives over a lost love. Others can't let go of a former success or the image of who they once were. Some cling to the idea of being strong, beautiful, or in control, and when life shows them otherwise, they feel like they're falling apart. The Buddha didn't say to stop living or loving. He simply taught us to stop clinging. To love without grasping. To experience without attaching. Because the tighter we hold on to what must change, the more we suffer when it does. Letting go isn't giving up, it's opening up. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you shut down or become numb. True letting go is an act of deep presence. It's choosing to love fully while knowing things might change. It's cherishing the now without trying to freeze it. You can love someone with your whole heart, and still understand they might leave. And if they do, you can still thank life for the time you shared and move forward with grace. This isn't weakness, it's inner strength. Because when you're no longer bound by what changes, you become truly free. Letting go doesn't mean abandoning hope. In fact, by letting go of unrealistic expectations, you begin to see the beauty of what's actually here. Life doesn't need to be perfect to be sacred. Each moment, whether blooming or fading, holds something precious, if you're awake to it. Living with impermanence is a practice of awakening. When you live with the awareness of impermanence, you start to live more deeply. You begin to appreciate every hug, every glance, every ordinary day. You stop waiting for some perfect future to be happy. You realize that the only time you truly have is now. You also stop fearing change. You understand that every change is a chance to grow. Every loss, as painful as it is, creates space for something new to enter. This is why those who truly awaken often move through life with such calm. They're not dragged down by the past, and they don't obsess over the future. They're anchored in the present, open-hearted and ready to release when the time comes. Life is like a river, you can't stop the current, but you can learn to flow with it. Don't fight what is fading. Don't cling to what no longer serves you. Every moment is an invitation to soften, to let go, to love more wisely. If you're going through a loss or an unexpected change, remember, nothing is permanent. And that's not a curse, it's a blessing. Because everything changes, you can change, too. And sometimes, true freedom begins not when you hold on tighter, but when you finally let go. In the Buddha's teachings, impermanence, known in Pali as Anicca, is one of the three fundamental marks of existence. Alongside dukkha, suffering, and anatta, non-self. But impermanence is not just an abstract philosophical idea. It's a truth we can see and feel in every breath, every moment. Every unfolding of life. Look at a flower, blooming in the morning, wilting by sunset. A burst of laughter echoes, then fades. Anger rises like fire and dies down like ashes. Everything, from physical objects to emotional states, arises, shifts, and dissolves. Nothing remains the same. That is impermanence. Impermanence is not just an idea, it's something to be experienced deeply. We all know that everything changes. But knowing it intellectually is different from realizing it with the heart. When you see impermanence clearly, when it becomes part of your felt experience, something within you begins to shift. You look at someone you love and remember, they won't be here forever. You look at yourself in the mirror and realize, youth, strength, and beauty will eventually fade. You feel sorrow, but you no longer fear it, because you know it will also pass. To understand impermanence is to develop a deep inner wisdom, one that helps you live more fully, love more honestly, and suffer less. Everything changes, nothing lasts forever. Buddhism doesn't ask us to escape life. It asks us to look closely, honestly, into its true nature, and in doing so, awaken. Impermanence touches every part of life. Material things, homes, cars, bodies, food, all decay, wear out, break down. No matter how hard we try to maintain or protect them, nothing remains unchanged. Emotions and thoughts, joy, sadness, fear, excitement, all rise and fall like waves. A thought appears for a moment, only to be replaced by another. Relationships, friendships, love. Even family connections change. People grow apart, feelings shift, loved ones pass away. Life situations, wealth and poverty, success and failure, health and illness, everything fluctuates. This is just how life is. Even the self is not fixed. Impermanence doesn't just apply to the outside world, it also applies to yourself. Your body is changing constantly. Cells age, hair grays. Skin wrinkles. Your personality isn't static. What you loved 10 years ago may not interest you now. Beliefs you once held firmly may now seem outdated. Even your identity, your sense of I, is constantly evolving. Today you're a child, tomorrow a parent, later a seeker, a student, a guide, a soul in transition. So if nothing about you is permanent, What is there to cling to? This question may seem unsettling at first, but it can become a doorway to liberation. Impermanence is not loss, it's opportunity. Because everything changes. No suffering lasts forever. Whatever pain you're in now, it, too, will pass. Wounds will heal. Emotions will soften. Circumstances will shift. And because of impermanence, you can change yourself. No one is born perfect. But because nothing is fixed, you can grow. You can let go. You can become more patient, more loving, more free. Every moment is a chance to begin again. If things didn't change, growth wouldn't be possible. But because they do, every single breath offers the potential for awakening. Because it won't last, treasure what you have now. When you know a beautiful morning won't last, you soak it in more fully. When you realize someone you love won't always be here, you hug them tighter. Speak more kindly, forgive more easily. When you understand youth will fade, you stop wasting time, and begin to live with gratitude. Impermanence doesn't make life meaningless. It makes life precious. It teaches you to live with care, presence, and reverence for each fleeting moment. Letting go doesn't mean giving up, it means wisdom. When you truly understand impermanence, you begin to practice the art of letting go. Not from apathy, but from deep understanding. Letting go doesn't mean not loving. It means not clinging. You can love without needing to possess. You can work hard without needing to control the outcome. You can be committed without losing your inner freedom. This is true liberation, the kind that comes when you no longer fear change. But walk with it, softly, wisely, freely. Living with impermanence is living with awareness. Those who understand impermanence live with greater presence. They don't delay love, or forgiveness, or truth. When loss comes, they still grieve, but they do not collapse. They know, this too will pass. Just as spring returns after the longest winter. To live with impermanence is not to become numb, it is to become awake. Impermanence, life's greatest teacher. No book, no sermon, no philosophy teaches us more deeply than impermanence itself. It doesn't come to punish, it comes to reveal. It shows you. There's nothing to hold on to. There's nothing to fear. There's nothing you have to control. Only this moment, fleeting and beautiful, is yours to truly live. If life feels uncertain, if you've experienced loss or change that shook you, remember, it's not because you did something wrong. It's not life being cruel. It's just that everything is impermanent. And when you make peace with that truth, you're no longer a victim of change. You become someone who moves through it with grace, clarity, and peace. Because it is impermanence itself, not permanence, that holds the key to real freedom. One of the deepest roots of human suffering is the longing for things to stay the same. We want the people we love to always be there. We want the good times to last. We want our bodies to remain youthful, our relationships to stay fulfilling, our plans to unfold exactly as imagined. But life doesn't work that way. Nothing in this world is fixed, not our emotions, not our circumstances, not even the self we think we are. Yet, because we resist this truth, because we long for permanence in an impermanent world, we suffer. The pain of clinging, why attachment hurts. When we cling to something and say, this must stay the same, we set ourselves up for inevitable disappointment. Why? Because what we're holding on to is already changing. You fall in love and wish it would always feel the same. You succeed at something and wish that success could stay untouched. You feel happy and wish that joy would never fade. But feelings evolve. People change. Situations shift. And when they do, our resistance to that change becomes a source of deep pain. Anxiety arises because we fear losing what we have. Anger arises when things don't go the way we expect. Disappointment arises when reality doesn't match our hopes. These emotions are not inherently wrong, but they often stem from our refusal to accept a simple truth: nothing is fixed. We want stability in a world that's always moving. It's completely human to crave security. We all want something solid to stand on, emotionally, physically, spiritually. But the Buddha taught that life is like a flowing river. You can't step into the same water twice. Everything is in motion: your body, your thoughts, the people around you, the conditions of the world. Trying to make something permanent in a world that's constantly shifting is like trying to build a house on a wave. When we ignore this reality, we suffer. But when we open our hearts to it, we begin to discover a new kind of freedom, not a freedom from change, but a freedom within it. Understanding nothing is fixed is not hopelessness, it's liberation. At first, realizing that nothing stays the same might feel unsettling. We often equate change with loss, impermanence with instability. But look again. It's precisely because nothing is fixed that healing is possible. Because nothing is fixed, pain doesn't last forever. Because nothing is fixed, you are not trapped in your mistakes or past identities. This truth isn't cold, it's full of hope. You can let go of who you were yesterday. You can start fresh. You can grow, evolve, and become more awake. The understanding that everything changes opens the door to self-compassion, forgiveness, and deep peace. Letting go doesn't mean you don't care, it means you see clearly. A common misunderstanding is that letting go means giving up, or becoming indifferent. But true letting go is not passive, it's the courageous act of seeing clearly and acting with wisdom. To let go is to stop grasping. You still love, but you don't try to control. You still care, but you don't cling. You still show up fully, but you don't demand life meet your expectations. This kind of detachment isn't cold or distant. It's spacious, kind, and deeply engaged. Because when you stop clinging, you stop fearing. And when you stop fearing, you become free to love more openly, to feel more deeply, and to live more fully. How clinging becomes a cycle of suffering. Let's look more closely at how attachment leads to suffering. We desire something. We meet someone, feel good, achieve success, and naturally, we want to keep it. We fear losing it. That fear creeps in, creating anxiety. We try to protect or control what we have. We experience change. Life shifts, as it always does. Maybe slowly. Maybe suddenly. What we clung to begins to fade. We suffer. The gap between reality and our expectations causes pain, anger, grief, frustration. We react, trying to get back what's been lost, or find something new to cling to. We repeat the cycle. The way out of this cycle isn't to stop loving, feeling, or caring. It's to wake up, to see clearly that nothing is fixed, and because of that, everything is fluid, alive, and ever-changing. From resistance to acceptance, the practice of letting go. Letting go is not something we do once. It's a practice, one we return to again and again. With each breath, each day, each moment. It begins with simple awareness. Noticing when we're grasping. Noticing when we're pushing reality away. Noticing when we're wishing things were different. And then gently returning to what is, instead of what should be. In this space of awareness, we begin to relax. Our grip softens. We stop trying to hold the wave still and instead learn to move with it. That's where peace lives, not in the stillness of the world, but in the stillness of our own heart as we face a changing world. When you accept change, you start to live deeply. The paradox is this: when we stop trying to hold on to life, we begin to experience it more fully. You enjoy the present moment more because you know it won't last. You forgive more easily because you know people, and yourself, are always evolving. You speak words of love more freely because you understand, this moment might never come again. This isn't sadness, it's aliveness. It's the joy that comes from realizing that every moment is precious precisely because it is fleeting. When you stop fighting impermanence, you begin to live with grace, gratitude, and real strength. Returning to the groundless ground. At the heart of Buddhist practice is the invitation to rest in what's called groundlessness, a state of being where you're no longer demanding the world give you something solid to stand on. This doesn't mean you collapse or disengage. It means you find a deeper trust, not in permanence, but in presence. You trust in your ability to meet life as it is. You trust in the wisdom that arises when you stop clinging. You trust in the natural rhythm of birth, growth, fading, and letting go. This groundlessness isn't frightening. It's peaceful. It's honest. It's where true freedom begins. If you're suffering right now because something you loved has changed or left, take a deep breath. You're not alone. This is the path every human heart must walk. But you don't have to walk it with fear. You can walk it with awareness, with compassion, with the quiet strength that comes from knowing. Nothing is fixed, and that's not a loss. That's the very nature of life. And once you stop resisting that truth, you'll discover something rare and powerful. You don't have to control life to be at peace with it. You only need to let go, and begin again, right here. There are times when everything we tried so hard to hold on to seems to fall apart right in our hands. A relationship we thought would last forever suddenly ends without warning. A job that once felt like our entire life disappears, as if it had never been. A body that used to feel strong begins to show signs of wear, and we're left stunned, unprepared. The pain of such changes doesn't just come from what we lose, but from the part of us that desperately wants everything to stay the same. We often grow attached to what's familiar, a person, a role, a habit, a comforting memory. And when reality starts to shift, the mind resists. Why is this happening, we ask. What did I do wrong? But perhaps no one is to blame. Life is simply unfolding in the way it always has, everything is constantly changing. Impermanence isn't just some abstract concept. It's a truth that pulses through every moment. Each morning. The sky isn't quite the same as yesterday. Our emotions shift without warning. People around us grow, evolve, move on, slowly or suddenly, but never stay the same. What causes us to suffer is our longing for things to remain as they are. We want to freeze a beautiful moment in time, to hold on to someone we love, to cling to an identity we've built. But the more tightly we grip, the more tension we create between what is and what we wish could stay. That tension becomes anxiety. That grasping turns into anger. That refusal to let go becomes a quiet sadness we carry deep inside. The real pain often isn't in the loss itself, it's in our resistance to the truth that nothing lasts. When we refuse to accept it. When we fight to hold on, we tie ourselves in invisible knots, hoping, wishing, begging that things will stay the same. And when life doesn't cooperate, we're left feeling bitter, confused, heartbroken. But if, at some point, we stop and look closely, we'll see, nothing is wrong with change. It's simply how life works. The tides rise and fall. The sun rises and sets. Leaves turn from green to gold. And people, we are born, we grow, we age, we return to the earth. When we begin to understand that nothing is fixed, we learn how to let go. Not out of apathy or despair, but out of wisdom. We realize we can't control the flow of life, but we can choose how we move with it. We can't stop people from leaving. But we can love them deeply while they're here. We can't hold on to a joyful chapter forever, but we can be grateful that it happened. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means opening ourselves to the truth. It means allowing things to come and go without force, without clinging, without fear. Letting go is an act of quiet courage. It asks us to accept that we don't truly own anything, not even ourselves. And strangely, the moment we stop trying to hold on, We begin to appreciate things more. A simple meal becomes precious, because we know tomorrow might be different. A warm smile from a loved one feels sacred, because we know nothing is guaranteed. It's because everything is temporary that everything becomes meaningful. Impermanence doesn't come to take from us. It comes to remind us that everything is a gift. Precisely because nothing can stay forever. It doesn't make life feel unstable, it gives life its depth, its urgency, its beauty. Over time, we learn to walk through change without collapsing. We still feel sadness, longing, even grief, but deep down, we're no longer resisting. We understand, this is the way of life. And like all things, this too shall pass. When the mind softens, the heart feels lighter. No longer wrestling with what we can't control, we move with the rhythm of life, not against it. In that softness, we discover a quiet strength, not from holding on, but from knowing when to release. Life is like that, beautiful, fragile, and ungraspable. But when we open ourselves to that truth, every day becomes a little more precious. Not because it will last forever, but because it won't. Among the countless teachings of the Buddha, one truth echoes through every age and every heart: all conditioned things are impermanent. This isn't just a reminder of life's fleeting nature, it's the first key that opens the door to awakening. We often think of enlightenment as something distant, reserved for saints and sages who've left the world behind. But the door is not far, it's right here. And it begins to open the moment we truly realize, nothing lasts forever. From the day we're born, we live in a world of constant change. Yet rather than accepting this, we resist it. We cling to people, to our identities, to success, to comfort. We believe that if we can just hold on tightly enough, we'll find happiness. But ironically, it's this very clinging that causes our suffering. We suffer when someone we love leaves, not just because they're gone, but because we can't accept that they no longer belong to us. We struggle with aging, not simply because of wrinkles or illness, but because we can't let go of who we once were. We want things to stay the same. But life was never meant to be still. The Buddha never denied our pain, but he pointed to its source, attachment. And he taught that only when we see the impermanent nature of all things can the heart begin to free itself. Freedom doesn't come from gaining or controlling. It comes from releasing the illusion that anything can remain fixed. When we see that emotions, whether love or anger, are passing waves, we no longer drown in them. When we realize that even our sense of self is a shifting stream of body, thoughts, and breath, we stop clinging to an identity. And in that very moment, a deep peace begins to bloom. Enlightenment isn't abstract or mystical. It's the simple, clear seeing of reality, impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and non-self. And of these, impermanence is the gateway. In many discourses, the Buddha emphasized, contemplation of impermanence breaks through ignorance. Because when we truly see that everything arises and passes away, the foundation of ego, the idea that, this is me, or, this is mine, starts to crumble. We no longer need to protect or prove ourselves. The fear of loss begins to loosen its grip. The mind becomes like a still lake, open, clear, and unburdened. Some might ask, but if nothing lasts, how can we love at all? The answer is, because things don't last, we love more deeply. It's precisely because the people we care about won't always be here that every moment becomes precious. If nothing ever changed, love would lose its vitality, it would become fixed, lifeless, and dull. Life is beautiful because it is fragile. Every moment we're alive is a miracle, because no moment ever repeats. The Buddha didn't teach us to withdraw from life. He taught us how to live fully, without grasping. To live with gratitude, but without clinging. To love with an open heart, but without expectations. And all of this begins with the simple yet profound insight, everything changes. Impermanence is not the enemy, it's a teacher. It doesn't come to take from us, but to show us how to let go. It reminds us that if we truly want freedom, we must stop trying to freeze what was never meant to be frozen. Accepting impermanence doesn't make us cold. It allows us to love more honestly. Not because we need to hold on, but because we've realized every experience, every person, every breath is a gift that comes and goes. And in that coming and going, there's a quiet beauty, the beauty of clarity, of release, of a mind no longer afraid. When we stop reaching for permanence, we enter a new way of being, free from fear, from struggle, from grasping. What remains is presence, whole, grounded, and at peace in the flowing river of life. Life never stands still. Like a river, it keeps flowing, sometimes gently, sometimes wildly. One moment it's crystal clear, the next it's murky. We often wish to hold on to a beautiful moment, but it slips away. Or we want pain to disappear quickly, yet it seems to linger. Much of our confusion comes from not truly seeing this constant flow, this ever-changing nature of things. Mindfulness is a way of coming home. Not to a place out there, but back to ourselves, right here, right now, where the pulse of life is always unfolding. Breathing in, we are alive. Breathing out, we are still alive. Just recognizing that, simple as it sounds, can change everything. When we're fully present in the now, we begin to notice the subtle shifts in our thoughts, feelings, and surroundings. A thought arises and disappears. An emotion swells, then fades like a drifting cloud. No two moments are ever the same. Every breath makes us a new person. With every exhale, the past quietly lets go of us. But we rarely live with that awareness. We get swept up by old habits, overthinking, worrying, regretting, expecting. We want joy to last forever. We want sadness to end immediately. We forget that both joy and sadness are just waves passing through. They rise, they fall. And beneath those waves, there's something deeper, something quiet and still, that's always there. Mindfulness isn't about getting rid of emotions or escaping reality. It's about seeing clearly what is happening, without judgment, without resistance. When anger shows up, we simply notice, this is anger. When sadness visits, we acknowledge, this is sadness. That's all. We stay present with what's there, like a silent friend sitting beside it. And something shifts. The feeling softens, not because we force it to leave, but because we're no longer clinging to it. We've given it space to come, stay for a while, and then go, just like the wind moves through a forest, leaving behind only rustling leaves and stillness. With mindfulness, everything that arises becomes part of the practice, even discomfort, fear, and heartbreak. Because when we're truly present with our pain, we stop being overwhelmed by it. We become the observer, steady, kind, awake. That awareness brings freedom, the freedom to stop resisting, the freedom to simply be with what is. Each day, life offers countless small moments. A glance, a word, a delay, a decision. If we're mindful, every one of them becomes a chance to wake up. We sip tea, and know we're sipping. We hear birdsong, and smile quietly. Nothing is too ordinary when we're truly here. And nothing lasts forever, once we see clearly into impermanence. Even the deepest suffering, loss, heartbreak, disappointment, can be held gently in mindfulness. When a relationship ends, instead of blaming ourselves or others, we return inward. This is the feeling of loss. This is loneliness. We breathe with those feelings, not pushing them away. And slowly, like rain soaking the earth, the pain softens. Maybe it doesn't vanish, but it becomes easier to hold. Mindfulness won't make life easier, but it makes us more present for life, as it really is. We stop reacting automatically. We start responding with care. We learn to live with a deeper kind of freedom. Not the freedom to control everything, but the freedom to smile, even when things fall apart. And through this presence, we begin to see a quiet truth. Nothing stays the same. No emotion is permanent. No pain lasts forever. Everything moves, like clouds drifting across the sky. We don't need to grasp. We don't need to resist. We can simply be here. And let go, like the sky lets go of the wind. In the end, the most precious thing may not be what we hold on to, but what we're willing to see and release, in every breath, every emotion. Every fleeting day. When you first hear the phrase, "nothing is fixed," it might stir a quiet discomfort. If everything changes, then where do we place our trust? If nothing lasts forever, what can we hold on to? Deep down, we all long for something permanent, a promise that never fades, a person who never leaves, a moment of happiness that won't slip away. But life doesn't work that way. Time doesn't pause for us to hold on to anything. Emotions rise and fall. Health changes. Youth fades. Relationships evolve. Beliefs shift. Everything flows in a constant state of becoming and dissolving. Nothing stands still. And yet, what the Buddha pointed to was not despair, but a doorway. A quiet, radical truth that leads to freedom. Because nothing is fixed, we are not stuck. If you're in pain right now, know that your pain will change. If you feel anger, regret, or sorrow, remember, these, too, are impermanent. Like passing clouds across an open sky, they come and go, and we don't have to hold on. And just as the pain fades, you too can change. You are not defined by your past mistakes. Not confined by how others see you, not bound by who you thought you had to be. All those things are just moments in the greater river of your becoming, moments that come, teach, and pass. If you've ever believed you're not good enough, know that this belief is not permanent. If you've fallen, lost someone, or forgotten how to trust yourself, you can still rise. Not in spite of those losses, but because of them. Because nothing is fixed, growth is always possible. Impermanence isn't a threat. It's an invitation. It invites you to live each moment more fully. To listen more deeply. To love without clinging. A quiet morning, birdsong outside your window, a kind gaze, a hand gently held, these things matter precisely because they don't last. They are unrepeatable. And in that lies their beauty. When you know that tomorrow may not look like today, you see today differently. You stop taking things for granted. You become softer. More grateful, more awake. Impermanence teaches us to love without possession. To give without expectation. To live fully, without attachment. We cannot control the flow of life. But we can be present for it. Instead of resisting change, we learn to move with it, to soften, to open, to be like water. And in that presence, we begin to realize, nothing is missing. Nothing is wrong. Everything is unfolding just as it is, always changing, and we can breathe with it all. We can let go not because we don't care, but because we see the nature of things clearly. Freedom doesn't come from holding everything in place, it comes from the ease we find when we stop trying to. If the Buddha's words in this video touched something within you, perhaps it's because you, too, are walking a path of quietly searching, for peace, for understanding, for release from the heaviness you sometimes carry. Life isn't always kind. There are days we move through the world with hearts full of ache, because something didn't turn out the way we hoped, because someone we loved slipped away, because a dream fell apart. Or simply because there's an emptiness we can't quite name. We search for answers, but the more we look, the more life seems fragile, uncertain, and often painfully impermanent. And then, out of nowhere, a simple line from the Buddha, something about letting go, about impermanence, about suffering, and the end of it, lands differently. Like a small light flickering in the dark. Like a drop of cool water when we didn't realize how thirsty we were. It may not explain everything. But it touches something. A quiet recognition. A moment of truth. A breath of stillness in the middle of it all. If something in this video made you pause, even for a moment, that's already a doorway. Maybe not a grand, dramatic awakening, but a subtle shift inside, a sign that you're beginning to see things differently. And that's enough. More than enough. What you're going through matters. The way you're navigating your sorrow, your confusion, your longing, it all belongs. And when we begin to speak our truth, even quietly, we offer more than words. We offer connection. We offer presence. Perhaps you've read about impermanence in books, and thought you understood. But then someone you loved left, and you finally felt what it meant, that nothing stays. Not even the people we think we can't live without. Perhaps you've heard about letting go, and believed it was a choice. But then you held on until it hurt so much you realized there was no other way but to release. That's not failure. That's wisdom being born in real life. When we share from that space, not to teach, not to impress, but simply to be real, we create something sacred. A space where others can breathe easier, cry softer, or just feel less alone. You don't need to have all the answers. None of us do. But if your heart is opening, even just a little, to the truths the Buddha pointed to, then you're already on the path. A path not of striving, but of softening. Not of perfection, but of presence. This is the quiet journey we walk, each of us in our own way. Learning to stay with what's real. Learning to hold our sorrow gently. Learning that letting go is not losing, but making room for something deeper to arise. So if this video felt like a companion, silent, steady, not demanding anything of you, that's all it was meant to be. A reminder that you're not walking alone. That somewhere, someone else is breathing with you, healing with you, waking up with you. And even if today feels heavy, even if the way forward seems unclear, take one more step. Just one more quiet, mindful step. The light will find you. It already is.